Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to my self-help video. In this video, we're going to be going over some of the wounds that we receive as a child that can carry over into our adult life, that can really keep us from even having any type of healthy relationship with partners, with family, with ourselves. So I do get a lot of comments and emails that that state that there's problems, with people and relationships. So I thought, well, maybe I can set up a video where some of these things are explained as to why certain things happen to us as adults, and we don't really know exactly what it is or how we can fix it. Now, some of these experiences I've lived through, so I'm not just talking just to talk. I have had a lot of these incidents in my own life, and I have worked through them, or at the very least, been able to recognize them as time has gone on and through my studies as to why certain things happened to me as I was growing up and then into my adult life, and why I acted certain ways which I couldn't understand. So let's get into some of this stuff to see if any of this makes any sense to you guys. And I did want to do this video outdoors by the lake, but as you can see, it's pretty gray outside. It's windy and rainy, so I didn't go outside. So you're having a view of my bedroom window. I hope you like it. Okay, so without further ado, let me get to this. So this is just the basic 5 wounds received during childhood that affect us. I'm sure there are many others, but these are kind of the big ones. Okay. And some of these, like I said, can prevent us from having a healthy relationship unless we take notice and try to overcome and heal some of these wounds, or all of them if possible. If you can look inside and admit to yourself that you do have some of these issues and find ways to work on them, okay? Because we know that few are the people among us who have had a childhood that's free of disappointments, limitations, since all people during childhood, in one form or another, have had pleasant and unpleasant experiences. They've all had unmet needs or issues that, if we don't deal with them or resolve them, they will accompany us throughout our lifetime. And most often than not, they will affect our self-esteem and, of course, relationships with others and the way we view ourselves. These painful experiences, some people call them injuries. I would say they're pretty much like an injury. Most of the time, are results of experiences with parents or with other significant adults, or just a random adult that comes into your life and says things to you that, or does things that really hurt you. So sit down in a nice comfortable place, relax, take a few minutes to listen to this video. Okay, take yourself back to when you were a kid, some of the fond memories, and take yourself back to some of the ones that you can remember and that did hurt you. Okay, and let's see if some of these injuries are still with you today, still affecting you today, and can we recognize them for what they are, and are we willing to heal them? Okay, so they don't keep repeating, or worse, you don't want to carry these wounds over to your children, okay, and your loved ones, because you shouldn't. At some point, we need to break the cycle of abuse to ourselves and to the ones that we love. Okay, so first let's visit the first wound, the wound of rejection. The adult that has received the wound of rejection, that has lived the experiences of this rejection in their childhood, will now have a tendency to reject himself and others. These adults also reject experiences that are enjoyable and successful. Okay, they don't want anything to do with success or having fun due to the deep feelings of internal emptiness and having the erroneous belief that they're not worthy. They tend to blame others of being rejected. And without being aware of it, he is the one who is isolated. And it creates that vicious cycle. You're rejecting yourself, you reject others, and before you know it, you have isolated yourself into a corner. And that is horrific. The main exhibited behavior that this type of adult exhibits, now, once they grow up with this situation, is that they're elusive. They tend to run away from unpleasant situations. They can't deal with them. They have no time for that. They are not very apt in socializing. They don't go out and socialize with people. They don't really like it. They tend to abandon projects that they start. They'll be really gung-ho at first, and then boom, they just stop. They lose interest. They tend not to adhere to tangible items, places, or even people. They don't consider relationships to others or money useful. If it can't generate pleasure in them, they don't consider it worthy of their time or to hang on to it. So it just continues to be, isolation and pushing things away that would bring them happiness, but they don't see it as that. So their inner dialogue continues to destroy them. I'm not good enough. No one cares about what I say. They have no idea that I'm here. I don't have the ability to do this. I am not good for this. Nobody listens to me. Those are the kind of thoughts that go through these type of adults. And it makes it very difficult for them to express themselves with others. They have no way to express themselves or their pain. These kind of adults need to work on these issues, and it requires the individual to work on situations that generate panic. They have to face their fears. And I mean some difficult fears. They have to get out there and really stand in the way of their fear and overcome it. Their inner fears, their self-esteem. They need to really work on their self-esteem, their self-worth. They need to sit with family and friends and express to them how they feel, how strong the emotions of rejection is within them. They need to forgive themselves and others for the lessons that they have learned and know that they are worthy and their opinions do count. Not to try to become someone else in order to feel important or to think that that is what makes them worthy, to copy someone else's mannerisms or what they do, to find who they truly are. They need to look within and see what it is that their innate gifts are. What are they good at? Fundamentally, there's something that they're going to be good at, and they need to build upon that. That way they can build their self-esteem and their self-worth on their own. So they can raise that self-esteem, okay, way up their vibrations and stop blaming others. This kind of wound will affect a person at a profound level of being, down to their very core. Okay. So let's visit the second wound, the wound of abandonment. This is also a very difficult one. Loneliness becomes the worst fear of a child that has lived through being abandoned. Now, unfortunately, that wound becomes their paradox. He who was abandoned either through death or the actual abandonment of a parent or a guardian will tend to abandon families, partners, projects until their lack makes the person conscious and responsible for their life and their loneliness, which is horrific. This is also another terrible, terrible wound. The person will go through life, especially in relationships with others, with significant others. And this is how they'll think: I will abandon you before being abandoned by you. So before the person can ever think of leaving them, they'll leave. They'll be the ones to walk out. And it's terrible. It's a cat and mouse flight and fight situation with the people that have that wound of being abandoned. It's horrific. Their main behavior flaw, due to this fear, is being dependent. Their biggest fear is loneliness and can't stand being alone with themselves. They will remain in an abusive relationship just so they have someone there, so they don't have to be alone. But in the end, they're alone anyway. They end up being alone. No matter what they try or do or how hard they try to hang on to a relationship or a person, in the end, they end up being alone. These kind of people eventually dislike contact with others. They become so isolated, they don't even want anyone around them. They don't want anyone to touch them. They don't want to touch anyone. They don't want to be touched by anyone, not even a slight graze, let's say, in a grocery store or somewhere in public. They do not want people to touch them. They also make a big old thing out of nothing. Out of a small situation, they'll make something really big out of it. They're really true drama queens. And then they're always going to go and request help from another when there's a conflict. They'll seek support, someone else to be on their side, when they're having a situation with someone else. They always need to have that backup of someone else to say, oh, yes, she did this, he did this, and now look at what's happened. And they always want that other person to be, okay, yes, you're right. This is what their inner dialogue sounds like. I'm not willing to take it anymore. No one supports me in this. Nobody helps me. I prefer to be alone. You'll see what happens to you. If you leave, don't return. Nope, not me. I'll be fine. These are ways that they communicate when they're faced with problems. So this individual as well requires that they work on their most intense fears: the fear of loneliness, of being alone, and of course their rejection to physical contact, which is another thing that, if somebody touches you, you don't have to fringe away. What the heck? They're not going to give you cooties that way. At least I don't think you can catch them that way, just by being touched by another person. No, I think you have to go a little bit further for that. They're very strange, and it's horrific. And this other wound, this fear of abandonment, it has an effect on, quote unquote, on the flow of abundance and love. And it affects the doing as well, physically going out there and doing for themselves, becoming who they should be without the fear. That fear of abandonment stops them from having good things in their lives and of doing good things for themselves in their own private lives, or person, whatever you want to call it. They end up destroyed. Another horrible wound. Then we have the wound of humiliation. Sorry. Adults who have experienced all kinds of abuse, including sexual, or experienced humiliation compared with others. Oh, look at them. You're nowhere near that. Oh, wow, they're being ridiculed. Oh, my God. What is that you're wearing? What is that? Go fix your face. Go take that, change yourself. Whatever. Embarrassed by their physical appearance. You're too fat. You're too skinny. You're too this. You're too that. On their limitations, their attitudes and behaviors during their childhood. Oh, you're a crybaby or a ninny or whatever. People will call you names and these are adults in your own life. These are your own family members or people that come over and then join the group and laugh at you. It's horrific. Humiliation is another one that's terrible. These kinds of individuals will carry this burden on their back. So you'll see that they're bent over, they're slumped over, they don't stand up straight. They carry this throughout their lifetime, being humiliated. It's horrific. Most of the time they're insecure, they're timid, they're hesitant to do anything. They carry with them, in the deepest part of their soul, the feelings of guilt. And of all things, they'll feel guilty about all this stuff. And it's not even their fault. It's brought on by others. They don't believe they have any basic rights. And they can't even doubt their own right to exist. They don't even believe they should be alive because they feel like they're so unworthy. That's very sad. Their main exhibit flaw also is of dependency. Okay? They tend to be proud, rigid, and masochistic. They generate true pleasure in suffering because of the way that they were made to feel. So they like to see others suffer, and they want to inflict suffering upon others, no matter who it is that they come across, no matter where it is. It could be at the workplace, at the home, anywhere. They will inflict suffering no matter what they have to do to make themselves feel better. They have a need to be tied to others and take charge of their problems just to make themselves feel good. Another special type of person. This is what they tell themselves, or how they talk. I don't deserve it. I'm not worthy. I'm not equipped to handle this. It doesn't matter. These are some examples that are commonly used to express themselves, the people that have experienced humiliation. Worthy of someone else's compassion, because they go through terrible things. These type of individuals require work on their needs to be dependent, or for the dependency of others on them. So they need to break that. They can't have someone be dependent on them because they'll abuse them, and they also need to break away from that need for dependency, for someone to take care of them so they can abuse that person, or for them to take care of someone else for the same reasons, for that continual abuse. They need to strengthen their desire to be free, to attain true freedom and detachment is what these individuals would most want in their lives. And at the same time, it's their biggest fear. They need to work on that particular fear and on breaking away of all this dependency. And it will be like shedding a ton of bricks off of their back. They'll walk a little taller. They'll have a spring in their walk. They'll be more proud of themselves if they can manage to do this for themselves. Then we have the popular wound of betrayal. Any adult with treason and betrayal as their wounds, they're going to be compulsive, distrustful, since they cannot trust anything or anyone. Their greatest fear is lying, being lied to. They will unwillingly seek and become involved in situations that inevitably will lead them to be betrayed every single time. And it will fulfill their prophecy. You should not rely on anyone. Everyone betrays. Don't trust anyone. That's their motto, But it's true. They will attract that type of situation because it's their biggest fear. So what they fear is what will come until you are able to overcome that fear, until you are able to trust, to open up your heart to trust yourself. It begins with yourself and then others. The majority of those individuals who experience intense feelings of jealousy have had experiences of betrayal in their childhood. 100%, I believe. That's how it starts. The main exhibit of their behavior is being the controller. They like to have control over others to avoid being betrayed. That's just the bottom line. Their characters are strong to justify their ability to control, and they like to manage groups so they can, again, control. The biggest fear of the controlling personality are of disassociation from themselves, even not being able to control what's happening in themselves. And again, they also fear losing control over their emotions and of separation from their spouses, from their significant others, of losing them, of them just walking out. That's their humongous fear. Once they're in a relationship, then that becomes their biggest pet peeve, their little fear that their spouse, their boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, significant other is going to leave them. And it confirms that fear, causing it to occur because they fear it so much. Eventually, it'll happen because that's just the way it is. That's what they attract. That's what they get. This is how they talk to others and their significant others. Let me finish. I have not finished talking. Do you understand me? Really? Have confidence in me. Trust me. Let me do it alone. I know how to do this the right way. It's exactly what I want. It is exactly what you have to do. You got what you deserve. That's my favorite one. I've heard that a few times. You got what you deserve. This is the common form of communication from the controlling personality. It's horrible. They require tons of work on patience, the tolerance and ability to live in the present moment, which is also hard for them because they'll either be in the past or in the future and they can't live in the present. They need to learn how to be alone and to delegate responsibilities to others in an effective and confident manner that the other person is going to do it. They don't need to control the outcome. Someone else can do things for them and get it done properly. They don't have to oversee it. They don't have to be the boss all the time. It's good. They can let go. Those are their main challenges. It's to somehow try to overcome this fear of being betrayed, being lied to. Okay. The next wound, the wound of injustice. To experience inequality is the worst situation for those who have wounds of injustice. It's possible to identify those who have lived through this in their childhood by observing the disproportionate and neurotic reactions that they exhibit to any unfair situation. They see something that's not fair and they freak out. And that's because, of course, that's one of their wounds. Everyone at some point has lived or seen situations that have been unfair. However, for those who have this wound, it becomes impossible to deal with any type of injustice, and their reactions tend to be self destructive. That's not good. One of the most important characteristics is their great fear of being wrong and their tendency to seek perfection every single time. And that is impossible for a human. And that just brings them bigger frustration, greater frustration. And the biggest challenge is to heal this wound, is to acquire flexibility and humility. God forbid. That's going to be difficult. These wounds are very deep and they're very painful. Their main exhibited behavior is of being a rigid person, a person that won't budge. They try to be very important and project force and power. They're fanatics of order and of being perfectionists. Then, only rely on themselves and find it hard to take action. They like to give orders and to lead as well. And how they talk, that is exactly what I want. That is exactly what you should do. I think that is fair. Do you agree with me? This is their most common form of communication. Again, in order to heal this wound, it requires these types of individuals to work on their abilities to trust others and their fears of distrust with others. They also need to work on their mental rigidness, being flexible, and trust towards others are their biggest challenge. difficult to do. So, people, unfortunately, when we deny ourselves the opportunity to work on healing these wounds, we will be repeating these patterns over and over again of sick behavior that has damaged us in our childhood. And unconsciously, we are perpetuating the same vicious cycle which we have tried to avoid and we have run from throughout our lives on our precious and beloved children, our loved ones, our family members, people at work, hence repeating the same wounds and fears over and over again like a vicious cycle. These wounds are exhibited in our communications of blackmail, manipulation, degradation, and control, affecting the quality of our relationships with everyone and with ourselves. Please try to look inside yourself and try to change, try to heal and forgive yourself and especially the others who have inflicted these wounds in you. Because until you heal that wound and seal it, you will continue to exhibit the same types of behaviors. The persons who hurt you, they too were affected with the same fears and then transmitted them to you. And it's just the way it is. It's a cycle that comes down from, geez, many generations, from times and times of long ago, probably other lifetimes as well. They just can't break it. So it's up to you, each and every one of us, to break the cycle. To recognize it is the biggest challenge and then to work on it. Because once you recognize it, see it for what it is, where it came from, how you got it, then you can start to heal it. At the very least, take control of them, take control of those fears so you can change the future of your life and the ones you love. And even of your friends, they'll like you better that way. Break those chains of abuse, control, of pain, and turn to love by opening your heart to the possibility that you too can be happy. You, me, all of us, we can be happy. We can achieve this. It's not impossible. You deserve happiness as well as I. And now it'll come to you in unlimited waves and unhindered. So nothing can stop it. Once you open up that flow in your heart and you heal those old wounds, nothing can stop love from coming to you. Only you stop love from coming to you. We block it ourselves with all of this pain that we have. So someone who is vibrating higher, who is looking for love, and comes by you, immediately they will feel that block. And they'll keep going because you're not open. You're not open to receiving the highest of all vibrations, which is love. And I love you truly, peeps. I hope some of you can open your heart and begin to heal. Go back to these times in your head and heal your inner child so you can fully love, so you can be loved, so you can be in the moment and live your life. Live for change, for betterment. I also pulled a card from our guides just to see what they would say. The deck is Ask Your Guides Oracle Cards by Sonia Croquet. This deck is very powerful. I don't use it very often because the messages are deep. They come from guides and kind of personal. So when I use it, it's for personal situations. I asked, how could we best deal with these wounds? Besides what I have already said and how to work on your fears and open your heart, and you can use angels as well. You can work with Michael. Michael will come and cut the cords that have been made from these people to you. He will cut them so that you no longer are attached to the person that caused you pain, to that particular situation. Think of what it is. Ask for his assistance while in meditation, while you're resting, and he'll come and cut the cords for you, or vacuum the cords, or detach them from your body, however you want to envision this happening and talking to the angel. We're talking Archangel Michael. We're not talking other angels. You use him for detaching of cords. Then you use Raphael to come and heal the wound, to heal, sever the opening, to seal it, to cauterize it with love and kisses and his green emerald ray to heal you. So you work with the two archangels, Michael to sever the cords and Raphael to heal the wounds. And you keep working with them every single day until you feel better, until you can walk upright. So some of these situations that have been weighing you down start to dissipate into the air. You don't think of them anymore. They don't have their hold on you anymore. You can function better in society and in relationships, knowing that perhaps it's in your mind. The fear of someone leaving you, the fear of someone walking away, the fear of someone hurting you or betraying you. Perhaps they fear the same thing. They don't want to be betrayed either, so maybe you can make a bond. You can talk to your partners about this and try to heal the past so that your future becomes brighter. Now, the card that I received from the guides is community. Community. Look into your community for help. There's support groups. There are families, ancestors, perhaps. You can talk to the older people in your family to see how they dealt with situations like this and see how far back some of this goes. If you don't have anyone still alive, then speak to others, older people in your community. If you're guided by your angels or your guides to join a group, to join any kind of group, it could be an exercise place where you can go, or yoga, or dancing, or whatever. Join these groups. By joining with community, by talking to others, by expressing yourself with others, you can help heal some of these situations that you have in your life. Okay, because your soul is seeking a kind of love and support that comes from being a part of a community. Your people, so to speak. Look for others that are like-minded, that think like you, that act like you, that have the same spiritual beliefs as you. Look for others with those traits so that you can bond. Look for your soul group. We each have a soul group out there, and perhaps they're calling you to join up with them. Look for your soul group. Ask your guides to lead you to people from your soul group so that you can reunite with them. Understand and realize that sometimes you can't achieve some of these goals by yourself. You can't do it alone. You have to seek out the support of others, counselors, priests, pastors, people in churches. Those kind of people, they can help you. Give up any notions of having to go it alone in life, because that is hurting you. You're not alone. You shouldn't be alone. We're not meant to be alone. If we were meant to be alone, boy, we'd be out in the middle of nowhere, and there wouldn't be another soul around us. We're meant to live in community and groups. And in the next lifetime, I've already had dreams of it. We are going to be living more in community type places. It's going to be more of a community living like it used to be. Except we're not going to be nomads anymore. We're going to live in buildings, but it's more, everything will be more contained. Okay, guys. I love you dearly. This video has come from the heart. I've experienced many of these wounds myself, and I've had to work through them. And I thought I'd share this with you, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I'd like to hear some of your comments, what you think of the video, and if you like it, and if you'd like others like this, I can work on that. Have a good day, you guys. And remember, try to look within and start healing some of these things, because most of the relationship problems that we do have today is due to some of these situations from the past. If you can manage to heal them, well, things will start looking up. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.